What if I told you there's a super simple trading strategy that even a beginner can use, that I and others are using to make $10,000 per month? And what if I also told you it consistently works time after time, and there's only two indicators that you're going to use? Let me show you how to do it. Now, a quick heads up before we get rolling. I want you to copy me, but I want you to copy my process. I do not want you to copy the trades that I'm making. I'm teaching you how to fish rather than giving you fish. So copy me, but copy my process, not my trades. Let's go over to the chart. So let's bring the chart up here. So if we pull this up, we can see this is a 15-minute chart. Now, what differentiates this from another? Well, let me show you. Let me just point out some key things. So you see this kind of blue shaded area here. This is post-market trading. So this is after 4 p.m., 4 p.m. to about 8 p.m. This is pre-market trading running from about 4 a.m. through 9:30, actually 9:29 and 59 seconds a.m. Then this is your 9:30 candle, 9:45, 10, 10:15, 10:30, 10:45, so on and so forth throughout the day. So you're zooming into a candle. So let's pull up ONDS. And if you've watched any of my other videos, let's do the comparison. So this is ONDS. This is a 15-minute chart. Let's pull up ONDS over here. Now, what are these? These are daily candles. So this is one day. This is one day. These are the same candles. One day. So this is Friday. This is Thursday. Now, what are we doing? So if we're looking at that 15-minute chart, let's focus in on one specific candle because we're looking back. We're going to focus on this candle. So if we look at this candle from Friday the 7th, November 7th, click on this. Everything that happened from here to here is that candle. So this right here is what happened during the day on this candle. So we're basically taking a magnifying glass, opening it up or a microscope, and looking in and seeing what happened intraday. Now, how can this help you? This is day trading. So what is a day trade? A day trade is a trade that you make within the time frames of 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time and 4 p.m. Eastern Time. You do not stay in it overnight. You do not trade it for extended days in a row. You trade it within that day. So if you make a trade here at 9:30 in the morning, you exit by 4 p.m. If you make a trade at 3:45 p.m., you better exit before 4 p.m. It's that specific day. Now, what's the difference? So if we go and we say over here, swing trading on this daily chart with a lot more detail, moving averages, etc., we're saying, okay, we can stay in this for extended periods of time. We can stay in this for 1 to 10 days. Doesn't really matter. Over here, we're staying in for multiple weeks. This is a lot more active of a chart. So this is for the person that is able to sit at their computer. Whereas if you look at the other charts that we often use, you don't need to sit at your computer all day. You check it once or twice a day, see what's going on, move on. This, you cannot move your butt from this seat. If you do, you will get screwed. I promise you that. You need to stay here because things develop quickly. So what do we look for? What are those two indicators that we look for? Well, we look for trend. We know that. We look for volume. And then we know our buy signals, which don't change. So let's talk about the trend real quick. Down here looks very similar to the other chart. You have your kind of trend area. You have your two lines. You have this line here. You have this line here. You still have those squiggly red and yellow lines. But what's the difference? Well, if we look at our swing trading chart, we often look at this being the sweet spot, right? Different here. What is the sweet spot? It's the place that gives us the highest probability to make money. So if we come over here and we look and we say, all right, what is this line? This line is at 20, not 32. And this line is at 80, still at 80. But where is our sweet spot? Our sweet spot when we're going long, in the example I'm going to show you today, is up here between 80 and 100. Between 80 and 100. So that's the difference between these two charts. If you're going short, your sweet spot is between 0 and 20. 0 to 20. That's where you need to be. So this area right in here, let me change the color right here real quick. This area in here, this is no man's land. You don't want to trade in here. So just when we come over to the swing trading chart, I like making these comparisons because a lot of you have watched these videos before. We don't like making trades up here because it's kind of that overbought area. We don't like making trades down here Because it's the oversold area. This is where we have the highest probability of making money on a swing trading chart. When we come over to a 15-minute chart, this is where we have the highest probability of making money going long. And this is where we have the highest probability of making money going short. So very simple. Just know that you want your stochastic or your trend lines to be up here. You want this red line to be up here when you're going long. You want this red line to be down here when you're going short. Okay. Now let's go and look and say, all right, volume. Well, we still want to have good volume. Remember, volume is everything when it comes to trading. Every single thing when it comes to trading. So we still want good volume over average. That's our yellow line. And we want increasing volume in some capacity. Or we want, it doesn't need to necessarily be this dramatic of increasing. This is a really great example because I saw this trade on Friday. I actually made this trade on Friday on a daily chart. But this is what you need to pay attention to. Good volume coming into the stock. So now that we have that, what else do we look for? Well, we look for our engulfing candlesticks. Those don't change. So the only thing that really changes here is obviously your time frame. You're using a microscope looking in. Your sweet spot is a little bit different, but you're still looking for the same indicators of trend. Your volume is pretty much the same, and you're still looking for engulfing candlesticks. It's very, very simple. That's why when I say you need two indicators, all you really need to know is trend and volume. Your buy signal is the same no matter what chart you're going to be on. You want engulfing candlesticks. Engulfing candlesticks mean you have good volume coming in and you more likely than not have a good trend coming in. So let's talk about when we would execute this trade. Now, of course, this is Monday morning quarterback, but this is easier to see as a new person because once you see it as a Monday morning quarterback going back on the chart, and I encourage you all to go look for day trades and where you would enter, you'll start to see it in real time as the trades develop. So when we look at something like this, let me explain red and yellow real quick. So when we're on this chart, we like to have our red and yellow line moving into the sweet spot, right? On the day trading chart, we don't really care. You actually don't really need this yellow line if you don't want it to be there. You can take it off. But I like it as, you can trade like this, but I like to use it as, it kind of gives me a guide to which direction the red line is going, and it helps me on the exit. So let me show you. Let's break down a trade. So you had the morning big spike up. I don't like to trade between 9:30 and 10 o'clock. That's just me. Okay, ran up, cool, sold back off. You can see the trend drop down. And then we just waited, got until about 12:15, 12:30. And then look what happened at about 12:30. We started creeping up, 12:45. Then we got to about 1 o'clock. And what happened? Your red line entered the sweet spot. Interesting. Does that mean we go and buy it? No. We need to make sure everything else is there. Okay, we started getting some volume in there. And let me turn on my whiskers here. We started getting some volume in there, right? And then what happened is we started getting some buying volume that was actually over average volume right here. Well, we started to get this engulfing candlestick, whiskers back off. We started to get this engulfing candlestick that was doing what? We had good volume. Well, we had a good trend. We had good volume coming in, good trend, good volume coming in. And then what happened? And then we took out the high of the previous candle, and not only the previous candle, but the one before that. Fantastic. Do we enter the trade? Yes. That's when we enter the trade. Now we're in it. Okay. Now with a day trade, you could exit at any moment. We could exit 25 seconds later. Doesn't matter. Get in and out. What happened the next candle? Well, our trend was still going up, still told us everything's okay. Volume was coming in, fine. Was the candle good? No. But does it tell us to sell? No. Next candle. Great volume coming in. Trend still in the sweet spot. Good candle? It was okay. It was fine. No big deal. Stay in it. Next 15-minute period, you get the gist of what's going on. Now the question becomes, where do we exit? And let's turn the whiskers on for this. The exit point is very interesting when it comes to a day trade. And that's the reason that I like having the yellow line on. So right in here, you can see, and let's zoom in as close as we can get right here. You can see that the red line dipped below the yellow. When I start to see that dip below the yellow, that's when I think of selling. Either I will sell or I know that a sell is coming up. And this actually happened right here on this candle. So my personal exit point would be right here. Somewhere, whenever that red line crossed, that would be my selling point. Now, does that mean that I'm out for the day and I don't enter it again? No, but you see what happened the next period. The next period, because the trend started to change, meaning that sellers were coming in, the next period we started to get less buying volume and we actually got more selling volume. What happened? We got our first doji. None of these were dojis. This became a doji. Next candle, doji. Yes, buying volume, but doji. Going sideways, red and yellow, or just don't know what to do. And then what happened? We got this spike up in volume. We got this spike up on stochastic. Can we re-enter it? Hell yeah. Enter it again. Go for it. Enter it again. Make some more money if you want to. This is why it's so important to sit on your computer during day trading. You might look at this and say, yeah, but this was an hour and a half or an hour and 15 minutes. It was, but things could have changed very quickly. What if you were the guy that entered here? You were not in this for an hour and 15 minutes. Things can change very, very quickly. Red line, you can see the trajectory starts booming up. Volume is still consistent. You get an engulfing candlestick, fine. But then what happened? Red line dropped below yellow. Exit the trade. That is how you get in and out of day trades. Whereas on another chart, you don't need to pay this much attention to detail. But because you're under the microscope here, this is where you need to seriously pay attention to detail. So that's how you walk through a day trade. Now, some of you might be asking, okay, cool. Now, what the hell is ONDS, Ondas Holdings? How did you find that? Well, there's a couple of ways that you can find this. Now, real quick, before we get into how to find the stocks, I want to mention, you might have noticed the name change on the channel, and that was calculated. I want this to be less about me and more about you guys. You guys are what is the important key here when it comes to this trading channel. We are trying to help you achieve financial freedom, whatever that means to you. Whatever that means to you, whether it's you full-time trading, part-time trading, just doing it as a hobby, whatever it means for you to be a profitable trader, that is what we are here to do. Now, let me pull up Yahoo Finance here. So Yahoo Finance is a great tool for finding stocks. You might be looking at this saying, how is that possible? Well, let's drag up here to markets. Let's go to stocks and let's go to most active. Most active, what does that mean? The stocks that have the most volume that day. So you look at this and you say NVIDIA, Open Door, Archer Aviation, Plug Power, yada, yada. Now, I like looking at these stocks and saying, what's trading that day? What has the most activity that day? That's something that we can go and look at. Something else for day trading that you can go and do. Top gainers. These are stocks that are moving the most on the day. This thing, Globus Medical. You have no idea what that is. I have no idea what that is. But we know that it's up 36% this day. And what's the idea? The idea is to go and capture just a little bit. If you can make 1% per day trading, and you look back on the whole year of 200 and some odd days trading, you're going to frickin' crush it. There's no doubt about that. 1% per day should be a goal of yours as you're starting. That was my goal. I would day trade, and I would try to make 1% per day. And when I did that, I crushed it every year. A good way of doing that is coming over here to top gainers. Now, I would say if you want to do most actives, you come and you pick a couple of stocks and you trade them every day. The same stocks every single day. If you're somebody that wants to go and get crazy and see what the news of the day is, big gainers, big losers, etc., go for it. Now, I do want to say this. I see LABU right here. This is just an example. This is a stock that I used to consistently day trade every single day. Now, what is it? It's a 3-time levered ETF. What does that mean? It means that the stock moves 3 times as fast as the S&P 500, just a benchmark. And how do we know that? Well, we just come down to beta. Beta is very, very important when it comes to day trading. A question that I often get when people are new and they're day trading, Mo, every time I'm just not making money day trading. I don't think this works. Well, what kind of stocks are you trading? Well, I'm trading something like Coca-Cola. Okay, let's go and look and see what the beta is on Coca-Cola, how fast this moves in relation to the market. 0.4. So if the S&P 500 moves, let's just call it 100 points, this is going to move 40 points. And I'm just using big whole numbers just to show you. It's not going to work. Okay, well, I'm also trading AT&T, 0.6 beta. No, you need stocks that actually move. So let's go and look at something like an NVIDIA. What's NVIDIA's beta? NVIDIA, you need some volatility when it comes to day trading. So beta 2.27, fine, that's okay. Let's look at Tesla. Tesla's another one. Beta 1.87, this is actually perfect. If you're new at day trading, I would prefer that you're trading somewhere between 1.5 and 2 betas. Once you start getting over that, the things happen very fast. A 3-time levered ETFs moves very, very quickly. And you might be saying, well, that's great, I can make more money. True, but you could also lose money. That is where I would tell you to kind of tailor yourself. Now, another place that you can find good stocks, let's go back to the chart here, the trading community. These are community stocks. Now, admittedly, these are more for long-term trading, swing trading, etc. But there's a lot of stocks in here in my list that I go and day trade or the community will send over. The best place to be to find stocks for day trading is in the Patreon only live streams. So these live streams are done multiple times per week just for the Patreon community. And why do I say that? It's hard for me to say, let's look at Duolingo, and we know that next Thursday is going to be a good day trade. No, that's really hard because we don't know what the news is. If you go and look at Duolingo, we know, look at this. Earnings happened. It dropped like 30-some%, but we don't know where that's going to happen. We don't know where the rebound is going to happen. But in real time, we can say, oh, go and look at Plug Power. This thing's moving right now. Go and look at Tesla. This thing's moving right now. So the Patreon community is a great place to be. Not only do you get access to me and the other great traders in the community, their ideas, their trades that they're making, the trades that I'm making. It's a great place to bounce ideas off of. And trading is a very, very lonely place. Trust me, when I first started, it was very, very lonely out there. So I implore you to join the trading community. Try it out for a month. Try it out for 2 months. What do you have to lose? Now, I made a full course on everything you need to know about trading, including day trading, which is very, very important. And I'm going to teach you a lot more, and we go through more examples of how to be a successful day trader, how to do this for a long period of time. It's in this video right here. Go check it out. I'll see you in the Patreon.